Welcome to Everyday Business Solutions. This is the podcast that seeks to make your business knowledge more expansive and to help provide solutions to all of your questions that you may not have known to ask. This mini season for the month of December, we're going to be diving into a company called TruePoint based in Toledo, Ohio. And we're going to focus on what 3D laser scanning is and how it can help your business save money. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Business Solutions. We are on to episode 4 of our mini-series today with Ryan Hacker from TruePoint. And today we're going to dive in to a particular part of your business, and that's, you mentioned the architects, engineering, construction industry a couple times throughout our conversation so far. So why has this technology exploded in that industry?
Yeah, so the AC industry today is characterized by shorter project life cycles, smaller budgets, and growing expectations for accurate demand on data. 3D laser scanning is a solution for AEC professionals. It helps with all of those. And whether our clients are actively embracing 3D laser scanning or they're on the fence about the technology, we're able to help them reach their goals. Some of our clients are relatively new to laser scanning, so we offer comfort and assurance by walking them through the entire process, from the pre-planning process through the final deliverables, and even sometimes helping them use the deliverables after they've gotten them and started to figure some things out. We can actually go back and show them more things that they can do with them. We really believe this is why we've had the opportunity to work with some of the best-known companies in the United States.
So out of curiosity, what are some of the companies you've worked with?
We've worked with companies like Marathon, Owens, Illinois, NASA, Amazon, Apple, Ford, Fox Sports. We've actually done work with the NFL, Major League Baseball. We do a lot of college stadiums. We've worked with Carnival Cruise Lines, Ralph Lauren, Turner Construction, Navy Pier, Graycore Construction. We've done stuff out at the Lexer Hotel in Las Vegas. We've worked with Disney. We do a lot of theaters around the country as well. All sorts of different projects. And of course, there's a ton of other well-known companies within their industries that people here probably haven't heard of, but certainly are well recognized within their specific industries as well.
Wow. It's kind of cool because I know when we were talking about it, I thought about going into architecture, but I didn't, and so I don't know a lot about anything in that side. But you work with a lot of companies that I think many of us recognize very well, and some of them are very, very large company.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's, I didn't even mention, there's companies in the food and beverage world that obviously we all know and things of that sort. But yeah, there's a ton of really neat companies that we've had the opportunity to work with. I've been in places that I never thought I would ever get to see, but because we're in their facility scanning, typically you're never going to be in these type of facilities. And again, it's kind of the reason why I got into laser scanning is it's neat to be able to go into a facility that you'd never otherwise be in, a beer manufacturing facility, for example. Very neat, very complex places that you're not just going to go walk around typically.
All right, so what are some of the key considerations that companies make when considering laser scanning?
First and foremost, my advice is that before you begin a project, you laser scan it. One of the things we hear all the time is clients will say, man, if we would have only known about you guys a month ago, we could have had you in on this project. And the problem is hindsight's always 20/20. We really need to, be proactive versus reactive. But some of the things when companies are thinking about using laser scanning, they need to ask themselves, what are they trying to accomplish with the scan? Another thing is, what deliverables are they going to need? Sometimes they don't know if they're going to need just the point cloud or if they are going to need other things such as 2D drawings, 3D models, things of that sort. And then another very important thing is what software are they going to be using the data in? This can be, we can work in all sorts of different softwares and we can deliver in all sorts of different softwares. But the most important thing is that whatever we are planning on giving them the information in, we start in that software, so that we know what our end game is. Otherwise, there could be rework and things of that sort. So just understanding what software they're working with and even the year version can be important as well. Sorry. And then, what is the project timeline? Sometimes, if someone calls us and say, hey, we need a 3D model by tomorrow, obviously that's not going to be practical. But if there is some time there, there's things we can do to make that even better for them. So those are probably the main important key points, I would say.
All right. And then with all of that, what are the benefits specifically of going this route?
So, as I mentioned just a moment ago, a big thing is, 3D laser scanning offers a proactive, data-driven solution. And so the sooner you get laser scanning involved with a project, the more value you're going to get out of it. Point clouds give contractors access to real-time, single source of accurate data. And so, again, there's really no better way to drive decision-making than having real-time comprehensive information at their fingertips. And basically what they'll benefit from expedited planning, reduced change orders as we've talked about, and of course meeting, deadlines, not having delays from finding out there's unknowns that they could have maybe known about months ago and planned accordingly.
All right, so what are some of the most common hurdles that people face when bringing in laser scanning, and what do you advise in regards to overcoming those?
My advice would be kind of going back to, the same thing as before, having the company spend the dollars on laser scanning up front versus waiting for a problem to arise. Once that happens, they've already lost some of the value of laser scanning, but certainly, to scan proactively versus reactively. Sometimes we run into technical obstacles. For example, they really need to ask themselves, do they have the personnel in-house to handle it? Do they have the expertise to work with the data? And do they have the appropriate software as well. And then lastly, do they have time to work with the data? A lot of these projects tend to be very tight deadlines and things of that sort. And, there is a learning curve to laser scanning. And so, if they don't have the right personnel or expertise or software or even hardware, that could really mess with their schedule, I guess, essentially, yeah.
All right, and bringing this back a bit, as we always do, Everyday Business Solutions is about just as it sounds, everyday business solutions. So how does all of this tie back into that idea?
So, 3D laser scanning creates a more dynamic work environment because each person has access to the same information digitally and virtually. In fact, there was a recent Dodge Data and Analytics survey they did on measuring the impact of BIM on complex buildings. And they found the results from AEC pros. The first one was 93% of them said that BIM improved the quality and function of their final deliverable, or design rather. And 85% said that BIM resulted in a reduction in the final construction costs and accelerated the job completion. So those are huge numbers. Even I was surprised by how much AEC pros are saying that this benefits them.
It's huge. I mean, you think of when you bring stuff in, usually the impact is even good impact that's desirable tends to be a lot smaller, but those are some pretty desirable numbers. It almost becomes a why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you have overcome all those hurdles that we mentioned before, at least.
Yep, exactly. And even if they haven't overcome those hurdles, again, that's where a provider like TruePoint can assist them, in hand-holding the whole way through the project. And that's one of the things we do is we'll help clients as much or as little as they need for their project.
So how should the engineering and design teams get involved in this process?
Great question. So actually, this is really important for people to understand is everybody, all of the stakeholders should be involved from the beginning to clearly define the scope and the deliverables. There's many times where we are working with the project manager, for example, and they'll tell us, hey, here's what we want. And then ultimately what happens is when we deliver the data, they say, oh, that's going to go to the architect. And the architect gets it, and they'll say, oh, actually, this is really what we wanted, this, not what you guys gave us. And so it's really important that all of the stakeholders be involved from the very beginning so that we can make sure that we provide everyone exactly what they need. We prefer not to waste anyone's time or money creating deliverables that the client doesn't need, or even to over-model something, for example. For us to create a model, we can put as much or as little detail into that model as the client wants. But if we over-model something, we're really wasting their time and money. And so it's just really important to understand what exactly everybody involved is going to need so we can do it right the first time.
All right. Well, thank you. And for everybody listening, that is a wrap on our 4th mini episode for Everyday Business Solutions. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us today, and we will see you for our 5th and final one next week.